Welcome back, Bears fans, to another video on the island. I appreciate you tuning in as always. Subscribe if you appreciate my analysis, and leave a like if you like this video. And today we're going to be talking about my latest and final mock draft for the Chicago Bears 2021 NFL Draft. And this does not involve any trades or anything, especially with the latest news with Justin Fields potentially falling, which I would not be opposed to the Bears trading up in that situation. I mean, it scares me how much I think Pace would give up to get to that 8th spot. But then in the same breath, you have to think if you got teams like Washington, New England, and Chicago all trying to trade up to get Justin Fields, it could be a little bit more difficult. And who knows, Detroit could maybe take him and just say, you know what, we'll develop a quarterback behind him, behind Jared Goff, I mean. And, you know, that's kind of a difficult scenario to navigate, especially this, you know, close to the draft, with everyone keeping what they want to do close to the vest. So with that said, with the 20 overall pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, I selected Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State, and he primarily played right tackle. I believe he did play a little bit of left tackle in a couple years prior, but honestly, guys, he's just a mean son of a bitch. This guy is a nasty run blocker. He had a 93 overall run grade this past season, and 11 sacks on, I think it was 600 pass attempts. So honestly, guys, I think build our offensive line, spend a first-round pick on it. I always think about the Dallas Cowboys and how they built their offensive line, and they invested really heavily in the first round. And I'm not saying the Bears should invest every pick they have in the first round, but when the Bears do invest early in the draft in offensive linemen, it tends to work out. I mean, you had Kyle Long, Cody Whitehair. If he's been a little shaky, he's still been pretty effective. James Daniels, I'm a little bit more skeptical of, but he's still a solid offensive lineman. And I think Tevin Jenkins would be a great addition to the line and really add some aggression to our offensive line. And with that said, with our 52nd overall pick in the second round, I have the Bears selecting Kellen Mond. And this is for apparent reasons. We don't have a lot of young talent in the quarterback room. Ryan Pace has said that Andy Dalton is the QB1, and that's fine. And you still have Nick Foles there. But I think in the second round, that's a great value. Get Kellen Mond, secure a quarterback at least, and maybe have a potential Jalen Hurts situation where he comes in, you kind of just see what he has, which I think with Andy Dalton, if we do end up drafting Kellen Mond or any young quarterback, they're going to be thrown into the fire at some point, because with how our schedule is looking, we're about to get romped in a whole lot of games. And at some point, I'm pretty sure Nagy's going to say, fuck it, let's just throw him in there. So with that, moving to our third round pick, I have us taking Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. And this guy, I really wasn't too aware of him. And I was listening to, I can't remember his podcast name, unfortunately, at the moment. But, you know, really solid run-stuffing linebacker. Knocked Najee Harris one-on-one in the hole, which is something that really impressed me. And he had a really good game versus Alabama. Also had some good coverage skills versus Kyle Pitts over in Florida. You know, that guy's an athletic freak. And if a linebacker can just make him struggle a little bit to either break an in route or, you know, catch a jump ball, I'll take that from a linebacker, especially one that can thud Najee Harris like the way I saw. And you should look him up. And with that, moving to our fourth round pick, I have us taking Benjamin St. Juste out of Minnesota. And this guy really popped up to me in the Senior Bowl. Long corner, 6'3", 205, so we can afford to put a little bit of weight on. But had a great day, had a great couple of days in the Senior Bowl. And that's something that really impressed me was, you know, you're getting watched by NFL coaches. You're covering these guys who, they're not necessarily the best of the talent going into the NFL, because obviously all those guys, you already know they're going to get drafted. But these are still guys trying to make it to the league and have a chance to make it to the league. You know, a lot of these guys are potential second round to all the way to 7th round picks. So if you can go out there and put on a really good performance and have the measurables that he had, I think he could be a really good project, and maybe even start day one due to his length. I mean, we still have Kindle Vildor. Duke Shelley's more of a slot guy, but they'll probably get a chance. But I think adding him to the room would be a great addition. And speaking of the Senior Bowl, another guy that really jumped out to me at the Senior Bowl was Shi Smith out of South Carolina. He can kind of play both. I mean, I saw him play a little bit of slot, more so slot than outside, but he can play outside. And he's a burner. He has a 4.4 340, played at South Carolina. Is a pretty good route runner. I won't say the most polished route runner, but he's so quick that he allows him to gain separation, as well as he's good after the catch. So he's pretty shifty. He can make people miss, not really break tackles, but make people miss most definitely. And I thought he was a great addition here at the bottom in the 6th round. And with that, moving to our next pick in the 6th round, I had us taking another tackle, Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore, he's a pretty big project. I watched a good amount of his games and his reps at the Senior Bowl. He's not the best pass blocker. He shows a good quick initial kick step, and he shows a good get off. And he's a stronger run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And he's pretty imposing. I won't say he's the most physical lineman in this draft class, but he's definitely on the upper half of this class. And I just thought, let's try to double up on tackle. You got Ifedi leaving, and Jalen Moore could potentially move to guard, and I think he may benefit maybe from moving to guard because he's a little bit stout. He does have good arm length, but he's a little short, and so I thought he'd be a great addition. And with our final pick in the 2020, or our second to last pick, I'm sorry, we have Teron Jackson out of Coastal Carolina. And the thing that jumped out to me was he had, I believe, 34 tackles for loss in 2 seasons at Coastal Carolina. And that just, I'm like, okay, right there, you're dominating competition. And I watched the game versus Zach Wilson. Teron Jackson had a pretty decent game. He had a couple pressures. I think he may have had 1 sack. But he kind of reminds me of almost a Roy Robertson Harris, kind of like Bilal Nichols mix. More so Bilal just because he's a little shorter, but he's almost closer to the weight of Roy Robertson Harris. But, good run stopper. He's a decent pass rusher, I'm like blanking on the word. But, it was a little bit tough to find film on him. I'm mostly relying on Senior Bowl stuff and the game versus BYU, a few other games. But I liked him. I thought he was a good potential pick in the 6th round. And with our final pick, I had us taking TJ Vasher out of Texas Tech to double up on that wide receiver. But definitely a different wide receiver, 6'6", 40-inch vertical. This boy is an athletic freak, but he's much more of a jump ball specialist than a speedster. So you have Shi Smith early in the 6th round, taking him, more of a speedy guy, and then TJ Vasher doubling up with a guy who can just go up and get it. Long arms, huge vertical, very tall, and I just thought he would be a great addition to this to the Bears wide receiver room. So with that is my last mock draft I'm going to be putting up. I hope you guys enjoy. Definitely let me know what you think the Bears are going to do, what you want the Bears to do. Is there any moves that you like, dislike, someone that you think is going to go at a spot where I pick someone and say, hey, what about this dude? And, I really appreciate anything like that. Just, some open lines of communication. I'm definitely with y'all leaving some comments and let me know what y'all think. But with that being said, I appreciate you tuning in as always. Give my Instagram a follow. It's going to be right after this video. And as always, just appreciate you guys tuning in. So with that, enjoy the draft this week, y'all. And let's see who the Bears get. Doses.